Hi guys, welcome to Twin Perspective. I'm Joe.
I'm James.
And tonight we are going to be presenting our top 50 horror movies of the 80s. This is part 2, numbers 25 through number 1. We lived the 80s and we know about the 80s, and we're going to tell you what the best horror movies of that decade was, and we was between the ages of 9 and 19. Okay, before we start, you got to give your misery.
My misery faux pas. It was in the 90s. It's Stephen King. Rob Reiner just did Stand By Me in the 80s.
86.
So misery was like, I messed up. So we'll push everything up from 26 to 50 and bring in at the bottom of the list of Unknown Origin, starring Peter Weller as Negan. And against the New York Nutri-Rat.
Oh, yeah.
Big giant rat that causes terror and causes him to lock himself up in his house and put nails through a baseball bat and go ape shit on a rat.
Yeah, that was fun. It felt like a TV movie to me, but it was Peter Weller, and he's all like, the ultimate exterminator. Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah, that was it.
Slid that one in. Now we've got the bottom 25 covered.
And now we're getting to the cream of the crop. What is your number 25?
My number 25 is... oh, shit. The Entity.
God almighty. That's definitely one of my favorites. One of the scariest movies I ever saw, and mine is way higher than yours at 25.
We should save it and talk about it when it comes up for you. Because I figure it's way high on your list.
Mm-hmm. It's in my top 10. Actually.
It's scary. It's got Barbara Hershey, and she does a great performance. And where else are you going to see Barbara Hershey?
She kicks ass in everything she does.
It's got Ron Silver. But what are you going to do?
No, it was really good, really scary. Definitely
based on
different.
A true story.
Yeah, that was freaky. Based on a true story.
Freaks me out.
Yeah.
I don't sleep on my stomach.
So if you haven't seen The Entity, you're missing out. The Entity.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it when it comes up on yours.
Okay, my number 25 is The Hidden.
I have that on mine too.
Cool. Starring Kyle MacLachlan of Twin Peaks and Twin Peaks The Return fame. Also featuring Chris Mulkey of Twin Peaks fame.
Gotta throw in those peakers.
And he was a spoiler. Kyle MacLachlan played an alien, but he was pretending to be an FBI agent, assuming the identity of an FBI agent, and teamed up with the local cop to try to hunt down the bad alien, which was body jumping, using up bodies till they were all damaged beyond repair, and then it was a slug that would crawl out.
You could only kill it when it was in between bodies.
Right, with the special weapon that Coop had.
That didn't hurt humans.
Right. It was a really good movie. I liked it a lot.
And the sheriff that he teams up with, the detective, not unlike Sheriff Harry S. Truman.
That's true.
In Twin Peaks. It was Michael Norrie, not Michael Onkeen.
Right.
But I wish Michael Onkeen's character, I wish Harry S. Truman would have been more like this detective in The Hidden. He was more combative, as I don't believe you. I mean, Harry did that in the second season. I'm tired of this mumbo jumbo.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe a little more like that. I wish it would have been the actor. No offense to Michael Onkeen fans.
But yeah, Albert was the total anti.
That's true.
The Scully to Mulder kind of resistance there. What do you have for number 24? Because we're going to talk about The Hidden later.
The Howling.
Oh, directed by
Joe Dante, starring Dee Wallace. Oh, I'm pretty sure this is the highest D. Wallace sighting on my list. Yeah.
The Howling made my top 60. It didn't crack my top 50.
Oh, it's up there for me.
Mm-hmm.
All three of those werewolf movies that came out that year. We already talked about Wolfen, which wasn't really a werewolf movie.
Right.
You had that one on your list.
Mm-hmm.
And The Howling, and we both have the third one that came out that year, which we'll discuss later.
Of course.
But yeah, The Howling's got Slim Pickens as a werewolf.
That's hilarious.
And great effects. Rick Baker was doing it, and he moved over to do another werewolf movie that year, and got Rob Bottin to finish off the job. And you could see the
Rob Bottin's got
the slip off a little bit. There was a drop off, just a little bit, but Rob Bottin's incredible.
Yep, good job. Good movie.
More on Rob Bottin later too.
I love D. Wallace revealing to everyone at the end that she was a werewolf. Live at 5.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Journalism in action. Real journalism. Not that fake news bullshit.
It's a scary movie at the beginning. It gets kind of funny. It gets kind of funny at the end. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. The Howling.
Yeah, some people really like the werewolf effects, and I like it. They big ass standing there in front of you. You know,
They show them a lot.
Yeah,
you get to see them.
They don't do that in a lot of werewolf movies.
They do not shy away from their effects.
Yeah. Regardless how cheesy they may be. My number 24 is the aforementioned Day of the Dead.
You mentioned that in the last video, yet.
Yeah. You had Dawn and Day. And I think Dawn's the better movie, but I think Day is the classic Savini dead makeup. I love the gore in that one. The story lacks, but that's why it's so high on my list, because the gore and the effects were great.
It's a good story. It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no one really to like. I mean, you like the good guys, the ones that you're forced to side with. But
The chubby scientist and
yeah,
of course the dead one, Bub. What's your number 23?
The Lost Boys. I started doing a different song. The Lost Boys. An up in the Joel Schumacher roller coaster of life. He actually was going up with this one.
Right.
Thou shalt not.
Schumacher's so hit and miss. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Like Toby Hooper.
And this one's on a curve. I don't know if it was on its way up, or it was on its way down. He did say it almost fired. Some people like that.
I love that. And most people hated Batman, presented by Schumacher.
Oh yeah, that was down.
In all of its ritz. Chicks dig the car. Good Lord.
But this isn't my highest vampire sighting on my list. You know. This isn't even the highest Corey Haim movie.
The Lost Boys was classic in our day.
It is the highest Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patrick movie.
Yeah, it blended Rat Pack types with this original take on the vampire, tired old vampire story, which I just can't stand most of them because it's just boring. It's supposed to be sexy. And Gary Oldman looks like the bottom of your shoe.
Look into my eyes.
Right. Give me love at first bite.
Salem's Lot. There was no love there.
Yeah, there you go. That's good example.
Just a good old fashioned oh shit, and within 3 weeks everybody's vampires.
Right.
This is how it happened.
My number 23 is, because I have the Lost Boys on my list as well.
Yeah.
My number 23 is Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
Which we talked about in the last video because it was on your list.
Tom Atkins rules.
Tom Atkins is no bull equal moose.
Makes
Bozo Clown.
No, Bozo the Clown. Thrill me. I've got cigarettes to smoke and liquor to drink.
Yeah. Yeah, the tormented detective. It was great. I love the 50s throwback. I love
Teenagers to bang.
And then the 80s movie, which is a 50s throwback, but it's not set in the 50s. And it's a monster movie. And I loved the writing because the characters were interesting. Even though they were weaklings, I still found myself pulling for them. It was great. I love how it ended. Everybody did the right thing. Good movie. Classic. Definitely one to put on.
The brother of Robin Lively in from
Twin Peaks. That's right. Yeah. You can't miss those Twin Peaks connections.
I know, that's about
You said the Lost Boys, Kiefer Sutherland of Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me fame.
That's right. That's right. I forgot. No One in the Howling. We forgive him. Hell, Peter Deming could have done the photography for all I know.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, I think he did prove something.
What is your number 22? Number 22. Two.
We did want to mention, though, that Twin Peaks: The Return, Episode 8, got a light. I thought of Night of the Creeps the entire time. The beginning, the black and white beginning. I kind of wish David Lynch would do an entire movie based on that episode.
The ending, when it was definitely 50s black and white, it just felt like Night of the Creeps.
It felt like Night of the Creeps.
It's like, what? Why? I guess because I don't watch a lot of old 50s classic horror movies. I get that feel in retrospect, other directors trying to do it. But it really worked in Night of the Creeps. It really did. That movie's good.
I take on the film noir.
Your number 22?
My 22 is The Hidden. Ooh. Talked about it. Kyle MacLachlan. Hey, did I tell you that one Michael Horse is coming down to film in Louisiana next month?
I'm excited for you.
Hawk. If I can get on and work the show, I might get to meet Hawk.
That'd be great.
Anyway, why did I think of that? Oh, yeah, because The Hidden's just chock-a-block full of Twin Peaks and peak references. And somebody in Twin Peaks watched and liked The Hidden.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. When I watched The Hidden, and this is before Twin Peaks, Kyle MacLachlan's an FBI agent teaming up with the local deputy to chase down the paranormal activity going on, and that's fucking Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
You take...
And X-Files, for that matter.
Yeah, you take The Hidden, and you mix it with River's Edge, directed by Tim Hunter, and you get Twin Peaks.
That's exactly what you get.
And you got the star from one, and you got the director of the other, and yeah.
Johanna Ray might have been the casting director.
Oh, so
there's got to be a connection with The Hidden.
Yeah, really. I mean, Chris Mulkey, he was the first one with the alien.
Yeah, it really is an Invasion of the Body Snatcher style movie, and it's fun. It's almost not a horror movie.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, but it's in the city, kind of like a 48 Hours action thing. But
it feels like a made-for sci-fi channel movie, but it's really good.
Yeah,
it's a really good movie.
Yeah, they push it to the limit enough to deserve a rated R. The Hidden, great. My number 22 is
Peter Pan's and the Lost Boys.
This is my highest rated vampire movie of the 80s. Some people don't like it, too bad. The Lost Boys kicks ass. It's great. I didn't like the twist at the end. I like that you pretty much was convinced that Edward Herrmann wasn't the vampire, and then he ends up being the head vampire. There was a nice little twist, but at the same time, it was like, really? Him?
Death by stereo.
Yeah. When you got Kiefer, I thought the movie was over, but it wasn't.
And besides the soundtrack, which we owned.
Oh, yeah.
On vinyl, man. On vinyl. That was going to say. Oh, well.
It's a nice mix.
Yeah, you got your Coreys, your two Coreys, but they weren't actually, like, they were cast awkwardly. You would think they would be the Frog Brothers, or you would just rewrite the script to where Corey Haim would become a Frog Brother with Corey Feldman, and they would have more scenes to chew together, and they didn't, and that was kind of why it's low on my list and not higher. Because I just thought it wasn't miscast. Corey Haim needed to be the star, but
yeah, and Corey Feldman with that thing going on, and just Corey Haim's delivery in those comic book scenes were like store scenes were like, oh god, this is so cheesy, but that's okay. I still love it. So that's my number 20.
And we got 3 Dream a Little Dreams.
Oh shit. And didn't that feature
That was a
Heather
bad joke.
Graham of Twin Peaks?
Yeah, Heather Graham was in that.
What's your number 21? One.
The Corey Haim movie that beats them all, Silver Bullet. Stephen King, Gary Busey, just ad-libbing through the whole thing. And
Gary Busey of Lost Highway fame.
that's right. And Everett McGill as the preacher, who loaned his eye patch to Nadine when he was done in this movie so that she could be Mrs. Ed Hurley. Reverend Ed Hurley. Corey Haim, who plays a paraplegic,
And then Gary Busey's the uncle.
the drunk uncle.
Uh-huh.
A stretch. But it's great. You had an adult who just didn't believe in the kid, but has enough faith in him to at least investigate a little bit and hang out with them. And, I'm going to sit here with you, and stupid werewolf thing. And then the werewolf shows up. It's really a short story, but they stretched it out through a couple of werewolf kills in there and an angry mob. And it's a good little werewolf story for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have done a lot worse with the acting.
Yeah, definitely.
And someone died in a gazebo, and they found the body, just like in Twin Peaks.
That's your number 21.
Yeah, Silver Bullet.
It didn't make my list.
The effects were so horrible. Carl Rambaldi should be ashamed of himself. It was god awful.
Ouch.
It was god awful. And you couldn't hide it enough. And it was still, you had to show it, and it was just, was that a puppy dog? That was bad.
Well,
Or it would have been higher on my list because I really love that movie.
yeah, the way the story is presented, I think the way they stretched it out, there was enough tension there and curiosity and connection with the characters to where you were along for the ride. I mean, and Big Ed Hurley was in it.
Big Ed. Yeah, that dream. Yeah, that was great. That was a nice shot. All the werewolves in the church. They were fine.
That's right.
Just the main one sucked.
Okay, my number 21 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Freddy's Revenge.
Freddy's Revenge. I love that Freddy. Scarier to me than the first one. And I like the kills. The one where he comes out of the guy's body, it's still the best thing that Nightmare on Elm Street ever did. I love that shot.
Yeah, because he puts
And
his hat on.
and it's dark, And he had one-liners back then, but it was, "You are all my children now." That shit's classic and scary, not this. Welcome to prime time, bitch. But no, we're gonna get to part 3.
We're gonna get to slapstick Jason later, Freddy later.
Yeah, because I was actually flip-flopping between part 2 and 3. So that's part 2 is my number 21. My number 20 is actually part 3. What's your?
We got introduced
20?
to Kevin Yeager's makeup effects for Freddy in part 2.
Yes.
Kevin Yeager, that is the look that we're used to with Freddy. That's the poster we had on our wall.
That's true.
Freddy with the glove. We had Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on our wall too.
And a classic Star Wars from late 70s, 1977 probably. That fucker was awesome.
Yeah, that's not horror, but damn. We probably had thumbtacks, holes all in over it and everything, just fucking the shit up. Excuse my language.
What's your number 20? 20.
I forgot to mention, though, with Child's Play, Kevin Yeager's married to Catherine Hicks, the star of Child's Play. They met on Child's Play.
Yeah.
And so Kevin Yeager, special effects artist, is Mr. Catherine Hicks.
Is part 2 on your list?
No, it's not. I have a couple of sequels, but I tried to keep it sequel free. There are a lot of sequels, actually, but, you know, I didn't want to filter my top 50 with 25 sequels.
So Clu Gulager was in part 2, along with the one that played his wife, who was in Blue Velvet, and I can't think of her name. Blue Velvet. And then
right, she was there with Frances Bay. Huh?
And the lead guy was just a dweeb, but the redhead was to die for in my mind. I mean, I just thought, wow. When I looked at that girl, I was like, oh my God, every time. I could have watched that movie all day. That's a scary movie, though. It's a good Freddy. But the school bus and everything going off the road, and oh yeah, loved it. Okay, so what's your number 20?
My number 20 is John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness.
And I talked about that in the last video.
Yeah. His usual cast of characters, the soundtrack. You watch Halloween, you're listening to John Carpenter's soundtrack. Mm-hmm. If you could tolerate it, you tolerate the movie. That's why it's so easy to watch for me. You know, Prince of Darkness is very easy to watch because the music is just really cool. You crank it up. It's real slow-paced movie, but it sounds really good. And it's creepy.
I like the characters. There was a lot of them, and that was cool.
And you know it's the Prince of Darkness that's coming, but you don't know in what form and what the hell is he doing now. And these chicks she was getting all pregnant and stuff. That's weird. It was creepy. And gross.
But it was scary, and because of Carpenter's direction, he catches those images that stick with you. And yeah, a lot of people. My wife says that's probably the scariest movie she ever saw. Prince of Darkness.
You gotta have some kind of faith or some kind of belief, and then you gotta like these procedurals because it's kind of like a CSI or NCIS where they do a lot of investigating, computer work.
They were focused on the science of it too, but at the same time, the religion was right there.
That's the best part, is them talking about the comparisons of science and religion, and the whole time you have this thing happening. Mm-hmm. That they were all dreaming about, too.
And Alice Cooper was out there.
Just really all the way around creepy. And Donald Pleasance.
That's right. Donald Pleasance.
And a Hardy Boy.
With a mustache.
But that is my number 20. We're getting to the top. We're in the top 20 now.
Mm-hmm. My number 20 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
Great. It's like instead of a final girl, you've got a final cast, and they're all gonna be superheroes in this dream scenario and go after Freddy one. And it's like, you know, the bosses, and Freddy becomes the hero. He's got to take them all down one by one. And some of it was cheesy to me, but it played well. And Freddy became like this villain that you cheered for, this villain that had such a personality. And then the one-liners started coming. You know, it was fine in Part 3. It was original.
I'm going to commit suicide by running and jumping into that TV up there.
Right. There's no way. Oh, God.
Lawrence Fishburne comes in and goes, damn, girl.
White girls can jump. So I love Part 3, and I'm sure you have 3 on your list.
I do. It's higher up.
What's your number? 19.
My highest vampire movie on my list at number 19, Fright Night.
That was on my list in the last video.
How you doing, Grumpy?
What did you like about it? What was the cool thing about it? You know,
the interchangeable leads aside, you got to have the best friend.
Yeah,
Stephen Jeffries as evil.
Yeah,
and Roddy McDowall. Those are my two favorite things about the movie. And Chris Sarandon. Basically, your three supporting.
Yeah, really, because the Ragsdale or whatever his name was, that was the lead.
Charlie Brewster.
It was like, okay, yeah. I don't like those unsure leads. You know, he's not the hero in the story. The hero is Roddy McDowall.
He was whipped. He had that up on a pedestal, and that's your downfall. Look at Roddy McDowall. You don't think he was probably married once? hiding in his apartment. Just leave me alone.
I've been married twice.
Oy. Oy. The effects were really cool. The script was really cool, and the play on the genre.
Mm-hmm.
He stepped on that piece of glass and looked down and realized, I think they do know that I'm a vampire. Because Roddy had seen him without it.
That's right.
I liked Roddy McDowall. I know we saw that at the theater.
Yeah, I feel like we did. Yeah, I always loved Roddy McDowall from Planet of the Apes. It was
when he's watching the guy die and he's all sad. Ooh, ooh. I remember
that guy was weird.
Laughing in the theater and then catching myself because everyone else was silent because it was getting sad.
The sidekick of the vampire was a weird dude. I don't know what he was.
Porn star actor.
Good Lord. All right, my 19 is The Evil Dead.
The original?
The original, The Evil Dead, which is pretty low for some people.
Yeah, it's higher up on my list.
At 19. Do you remember in North Louisiana we went visit our grandma, and in her neighborhood there was another family and they had people visiting, and we met the two girls and we decided to have a movie night. And we were the town's pastor's grandkids, so they trusted us. We were able to go overnight and watch two movies. So we went to the rental place, and they picked one, and we picked one. They picked The Boy Who Could Fly.
Good movie.
Really good movie. And we watched that first, and then we put in ours, The Evil Dead. So funny.
We had never seen it.
Right. Yeah, at that point we had never seen it.
So it was important viewing.
Oh man, that is so funny. First date.
The Boy Who Could Fly with Fred Gwynne. He was the drunk uncle. Mm-hmm. Got to have a drunk uncle in the 80s.
The movie was, that was good. So
then we slapped The Evil Dead on him.
The Evil Dead.
What can you do? This girl's the one that showed me Meet Me in St. Louis. I mean, really, really, really like not up your skirt or anything.
Oh, she was the
Evil Dead's not
churchgoer
with this girl. Her cousin, the one you were with, on the other hand, who we don't remember her name, so she will remain nameless.
Yeah, she didn't let that Evil Dead phase her. Like she was like, I can't watch. I'm getting under the covers, and then she was like, you got to come under the covers with me. So she hid with me through half the movie. But eventually, I watched the whole thing from. Eventually, I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. It was scarier than Part 2, which most people regard as the best, and I certainly do. But The Evil Dead is classic, and it's got Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, and it's gory, and it's fun, and it deserves a place on the top of anyone's lists. So there you go. It's at my number 19.
On mine.
What's your number 18?
Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. I don't have very many sequels, but this franchise, which is my favorite, at number 18, I've got 3 Friday the 13ths on my list coming up. And this is one of them. The first undead Jason. the first zombie Jason. Yes, movie 6.
Yes.
He did not die till movie 4.
Yeah.
He didn't die.
Yeah.
So this is the first zombie Jason. You get to see him stronger and faster. He walks fast.
And he should be at the bottom of Crystal Lake right now.
Yeah, at the end of this movie, that's the way it ended. The final guy got him.
Right.
He took a final man.
But of course he was resurrected in such classics as 7, 8, 9, and 10.
And beyond.
Not to mention a stint fighting Freddy.
Yeah, you could take every franchise and find the timeline of your choosing. And I choose 1 through 6 with Friday the 13th. Just the way it is.
Me too.
And you can't take that away. Even the one without Jason.
Yep. That one, part 5 was on my list.
C.J. Graham, good job as Jason. So that was my number 18.
But yeah, part 6 is a little higher on my list. We will talk about it again. But my number 18 is also a Friday the 13th movie. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. That one's not on your list.
No.
Okay, but that's definitely one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kids were great, of course, Crispin Glover, the kid from The Last American Virgin, and you had the 2 twins that showed their ass at the same time. Yeah, I like that.
Twins!
And the girl from Weird Science.
Yep.
And Jason was okay. The final girl was but it was really about Tommy and Corey Feldman. He's a vampire slayer, and now he's a Jason slayer.
Jason was taking on a frog brother and George McFly and The Last American Virgin. He was taking on the 80s.
Crispin Glover of Wild at Heart fame.
Twin Peaks in the house.
And also 4 Rooms. I'm not 4 Rooms. Hotel Room by David Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was my number 18. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. What is your number 17?
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warrior. That's my favorite. And what arguably my favorite story of all of the franchises, all of them, it's the one I think is the best beginning, middle, and end.
And Wes Craven wrote most of that, but they just kind of took from his script.
Right, maybe they narrowed it down to the hospital to confine it a little bit. But I think it's like 60% or 30%. Frank Darabont got his hands on it, and he knows how to work his magic. And I can't remember I think it's Chuck Russell that directed it. But there's a Ken Russell and a Chuck Russell, and I don't want to get them mixed up because one of them did Lair of the White Worm, and
and you bring back Nancy. You bring back Nancy's dad. You throw in Craig Wasson.
What have you done for me lately, Wasson?
And then Angelo Badalamenti does the music.
And I remember when we went to see this, we knew Nancy was going to be in it. We were getting Fangoria magazines at the time, but it looked like she was just going to be a guest starring role, and I thought she was going to get killed off in the first 10 minutes.
That's what it seemed like.
And then by the end of the movie, it's like, no, wait, we actually got a movie with Nancy in it. And that's something that we didn't get we never had a return of Jenny. We didn't have a return of Alice in the first 10 minutes of Friday the 13th, part 2. So we never had I guess Laurie Strode coming back and defending her crown in
several times.
Weak way that she did, like crawling away through the whole movie. But we actually had our first final girl come back and do some damage.
Well, yeah. And then Patricia Arquette's character, she survives too, right? Patricia Arquette, of course, of Lost Highway fame.
Kristen Anderle. Yeah, that's right. Lost Highway fame.
Take my power or whatever.
You need my power, Alice. You need my power.
I'm not watching it after that. I'm done with Nightmare on Elm Street after that.
That's one where Freddy put his sunglasses on the beach. His glove was Jaws in the sand.
Jesus. Don't want to get a sunburn. Jesus. My number 17 is John Carpenter's They Live, which is a accurate depiction of society today, which is horrifying. The ergo horror movie, and it's Rowdy Piper and Keith David having this 8-minute fight scene, just awesome. That movie was good, but it was really sci-fi.
I had it in my list. I had it in the other episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Roddy Piper.
It's awesome stuff. I mean, it's the way society is right now. It's very poignant. They Live. Okay, what's your number 16?
I have come to run the country and tweet.
President Donald Trump says, the only way you can prevent forest fires is with a rake.
Rake it up.
Oh, jeez. Right.
You said my number 16?
Number 16.
And we're going to, I got to get away from these after this one, but
Sweet 16.
Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Ooh.
You hadn't mentioned that one yet, have you?
No, it's a little higher on my list.
Yeah. This is technically my favorite Friday the 13th movie. Right above Jason Lives.
Yeah.
He got potato sack Jason. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Fine.
His
Great
backstory was what made the movie.
The campfire scene was perfect.
Steve Miner's direction. Watch that movie and just check out the long shots.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 or 4
From the beginning
really
with
awesome
Alice,
long
right?
shots.
Right, with the whole walking around the apartment and
Figure out when Jason gets into that house when she's walking around.
Mhm.
You could see how he manages to slide on in.
It's true.
And then the band, they're watching the band and they cut across to the bar and they're at the bar drinking and then they tell their Jason story and whatnot. That's a long shot. And then whenever they decide they're going out, there's a long shot.
Mhm.
Great long shot of going up the stairs.
Yeah, they all do a good job. It was a fine bunch of counselors in this movie that got whacked one by one by Jason, who's fully realized, not fully realized, but he's alive. I mean, I remember in the beginning of Part 2 when that foot hits the water, and it was like, oh shit, this dude is alive, and somebody's about to get fucked up. And he put his mama's head in her fridge.
Yeah, he had to have time to go to the kitchen.
Yeah, that was some psychological shit he was playing on her. Like, you remember you did this? Now I'm doing this.
We could look back on it and know what Jason ended up being and go, okay, well, yeah, like he took a bus to the city and killed her.
Right.
But whatever. We didn't know that at the time. We didn't know what this guy was capable of.
Right. And I love it.
He's got no plumbing, but he's got a turlet.
He might have rode in her car on the way back from Crystal Lake for all we know.
My favorite final girl. I mean, she drank a lot of beers. She had no idea that she was going to be running from a killer, and she didn't have time to go to the bathroom. And that was her only fault. She was hiding. He was out.
There's no doubt that the best final girl in Friday the 13th history is Jenny!
Jenny! And then the little wormy, ratty guy crawled under the bed with her and made her pee herself.
And no, it was an actual rat.
And then you see Jason look back. It's so great because then he finds time to get on a chair and stand there and wait for her. I'm going to make it look like I left the room now that I busted her peeing. And I'm going to stand on this chair instead of just lifting the bed up and pitchforking her into it.
Zombie Jason.
And the chair breaks. The chair breaks, which breaks the pitchfork when he falls. It's just great. It was like so bad. You get away with it once. You can't do that ever again. Like the new Halloween. You can't do that. We did that in Friday the 13th Part 2.
When she gets in the car and he's chasing her, and then you look, the camera, you can see her in the car, and you see out the window, and Jason's not there anymore, and she gets calm for a second. It's like, dude, you know he's out there, right? And now, when I watch it again, I watched him. She kind of scoots a little more to the left because that fucking pitchfork's coming down in the same shot right there.
Yeah.
She's like, make sure you're in the right spot because this fucker's coming down. And I mean, that general look of terror when it comes down, it's awesome. It's like, fucking, they could have killed me, but let's do this.
We used the real pitchfork.
Amy Steele is a great actress too.
Yeah, she comes up with
Walk Like a Man.
the whole idea real quick to play with his head.
Yeah, that was the final girl. She was tough, but she was kind of a wimp at the same time. She was a girl, but she didn't back down. She went at it.
She's the best Friday the 13th final girl for sure,
And
in my opinion.
And Paul helped a lot because Paul kind of lasted through the whole thing.
Yeah, he's the only boyfriend that actually hung in there for a minute.
Yeah.
All the other boyfriends got wiped out embarrassingly early. The one in part 3. Man.
Oh no, he was huge, dude, and then just
Him and Jason met, and it was 3 seconds later.
Mhm.
He was dead.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a brawl between those two.
Yeah, there was a big dude, man. They show him all working out, lifting hay.
Yeah.
Nope.
Didn't happen. Anyway, that was part 2, and I have part 2 a little higher on my list. Number 16 for me is the classic A Nightmare on Elm Street.
The original.
And that's really high up on most people's list. I got it at number
Higher up on
16. I'm a bigger fan of Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street was a beautiful movie and an excellent story. And it was directed really well. Wes Craven's another one of those hit or miss for me. And the shot with the girl on the ceiling, that whole thing was horrifying. And, you know, the rips and oh yeah, good stuff.
Setting the booby traps in the real world is a great idea, and then it was uneventful. Like how it played out in the movie to me,
Right.
could have been a lot more. You
Okay.
do what you can.
She was on a time limit, and then she set all these booby traps up in this time limit that just was not believable. I remember thinking that. I was like, oh yeah, she pulled all that off in 2 minutes or whatever it was. She had to do it. I don't remember, but I do like that movie. It's high up. It's number 16. Freddy is a great, and I think 1, 2, and 3 are of course the best, and after that it went downhill. But part 1 and part 2 were really good, scary villain.
Yeah.
Worth a franchise, but the comedic part of it, it's like, right. Opening up for Beetlejuice, we have Freddy Krueger. It's a boy. Okay, so I do hold the original in high esteem. So what do you have for number 15?
Top 15.
Yeah, these are the best of the best now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned this one already. Creep Show.
Yes, Creepshow was on my list.
The Crate, man.
Oh yeah.
You've got. Well, all the stories were great.
Yep.
Yeah, they were all a little different, so you get a breather here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Romero did just a little bit different with each one, directing.
And even though The Crate was the longest, and some people don't like it because it was too long,
What the hell ever, man. That was an awesome movie.
they were going to put
Make it a movie.
The Raft in, which was in Creep Show 2. They were going to put that one in the first one, but
Another excellent movie, Creepshow 2. I like that one too.
that one's fun.
But Creepshow, the original.
Yeah, not much to say. Tom Savini's probably 3rd or 4th or 5th on my list of my favorite effects that he's done.
Yeah.
Day of the Dead's number 2. We're going to get to my number 1 later.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, George Romero, he ends up getting represented on this list more than I thought he would.
You know, he's a classic and he's got some great stuff. We're just not fanboys.
And Tales from the Dark Side is the 90s. Or it would have been on this list too.
Yeah. That was a really good anthology. As it is, Creepshow stands as the best anthology of the 80s.
This movie was, it battled it at number 10 for a while for me. And it's at 15.
Yeah.
So all these movies are pretty interchangeable coming up.
Yeah, they could because they're all so good, and probably a lot of other people's number ones is going to be somewhere here on this in this last little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've already mentioned Creepshow before.
See, so let's move on to your 15.
My number 15 is a movie you have much higher up on your list, Poltergeist.
Yes, this is true.
Directed by Steven Spielberg. Tobe Hooper. And yeah, great action, great right there in the 80s. It was a perfect Spielberg movie, one that he wrote, and the story is really good, works well. I love it. The casting was great, especially the leads, and of course the iconic little lady, and all of it works. Just enough horror in it with that, kind of haunted house thing. That's just a scary movie. So there you go. It's a horror movie. But the stake in the face and everything else, that was really gross at the time. It's kind of shocking in the movie because nothing else was really like that.
That was Tobe Hooper's contribution.
Right. But all of the action and the way that the direction was, it works. Poltergeist, definitely one of the best horror movies of the 80s.
See, there's a thing called non-disclosure agreements where you can't say what happened on set. So Tobe Hooper will never be able to tell us what really happened, but legally Steven Spielberg couldn't direct 2 movies at the same time, or it was in his contract or Universal's contract or something. So he was doing E.T. at the time. So this is why we're not going on the knowledge of a rumor or hearsay. This is just This is just what it was. That movie was crafted like a Spielberg, no other Spielberg produced film. It had his touch.
Mm-hmm. So what's your number 14?
The Evil Dead, the original. There it is.
Yeah.
We already talked about this one. Where's that pencil at? Join us. Just good stuff. And stop animation and stuff. It's like, okay, well, if anything, we could just get some clay. Because we were wanting to make movies, doing stuff.
Yeah, practical effects, prosthetics, that's great. That's what we like. That's what we want to see. You better do it good. Evil Dead was a little sloppy in places, but it was the overall gore that was effective, even when it was, stop motion or claymation or whatever.
Seriously, we were going to give Chris, remember we were going to poison him, I think, and give him just a can of split pea soup and just have him puke it in the toilet.
Right.
Spit it out in the toilet.
And then our buddy Ribby agreed that his death could come by drowning in the toilet with the split pea soup in the water. So we'd catch the shot of the vomit, and then we would be able to have Ribby walk in there and notice it and then get drowned in it. Oh, yeah. That would be great.
The unknown spaz.
We are spazzing.
It was definitely written in the 80s.
The Evil Dead.
Yep, that is my number 14.
My number 14 is the remake of the classic The Fly. The remake directed by David Cronenberg. And there's only one other movie I like better than this that Cronenberg's done, Naked Lunch. I think Naked Lunch is a great film. It's got some horror-esque stuff to it, but it's not horror. It came out in 1991. But this movie is the perfect combination for Cronenberg to be able to have a monster in it and all this deformities and body horror. I love it. I love it. He didn't come out of that motherfucker with a fly head. He came out with a fucking disease, and that shit started changing him, and body parts are falling off, and look what I can do now. Just climb on the walls. Ah.
Special effects by Chris Wallace, who directed The Fly Part 2.
Yep, that was a good movie, too.
You got any peakards in this movie? There's something very sickly relatable besides the first names of Cronenberg and Lynch. But we can't seem to find a connection with this movie.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, they were a couple for a long time, and
you look bad, you smell bad, and I could smell them.
Yeah, that movie was effective.
I have it way up.
Okay, so it's at number 14 for me. What is your number 13?
We had this poster on our wall, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, starring Dennis Hopper of Blue Velvet fame.
Greatest supporting actor ever, but in this movie he was pretty damn good. And special effects by the King.
Hit them a time or two. He goes out there and starts practicing. He's practicing with chainsaws, just going nuts.
Yeah, the guys selling those chainsaws are watching.
This is my all-time favorite Tom Savini effects movie. He gets to do a little bit of everything.
Yep.
He gets to cut people's heads off with chainsaws, skin a guy who's standing there skinned,
Yeah.
and then Grandpa. The camera zooms in and you can see all the pores on his nose, pus holes, and the old man makeup, which I always attributed to Dick Smith.
Yeah. Savini did great. He had a good balance of things to
A
do.
lot of stuff.
Oh, the guy skinned though, that image in Fangoria magazine. It's like you can just look at that picture and be like, God damn, this is so good.
Yeah, I think that's why I really, really like this one, because the Fangoria magazine showed everything. The guy with the plate in his head, and
and he would itch it. Oh,
he would scratch it with the coat hanger, and he'd pick the end and he'd eat it. And then he'd light the end of the coat hanger again and scratch under his Sonny Bono wig. Oh,
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. That is a classic.
Chop Top. I couldn't think of his name. Chop Top. That's his name.
No, I think that was in my top 50. I think I mentioned that last
Yeah,
video.
yeah. But it is my number 13. Stretch could scream all she wants. I don't like screaming in movies, and she's got a particularly horrible scream, but she could scream all day. For some reason, it didn't bother me. It was like, okay, I'm going to let this hurt my teeth, because when they scream, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I say they, I mean anyone who screams in a movie.
Now, who played Stretch? Never mind. We're gonna have to check this.
Caroline Williams.
Okay. Damn, I didn't think you'd know it.
Yeah,
Good movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
she's friends with Jennifer Coolidge.
Who lives in New Orleans?
Yeah, I had to throw that in there. Weekend before Halloween.
My number 13 might not be a horror movie to some, but it is to me, and I believe it's on your list as well. Predator?
Yes.
Okay, good. Number 13 on my list is Predator with Arnold.
Because Predator is a horror franchise.
Yes, it is. Dealing with monsters. These aliens. And a lot of gore. When you're ripping skulls and spines out of people, yeah, that's horror. Of course, we went to the movies to see it. In the first fucking 45 minutes, I'm enthralled in this Arnold Schwarzenegger war movie.
Nobody told me Commando could be like this.
And fucking, Apollo Creed running around with him, and Jesse the Body Ventura ain't got time to bleed.
Ain't got time to bleed.
And then all of a sudden, you get this point of view shot of the Predator, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Okay, something's going on.
Anytime.
Oh, yeah, that was good shit. And when he finally shows up, it's like a warrior, and then he takes the mask off. He a one ugly motherfucker.
Get to the chopper!
He picks up Arnold by his throat, and their heads are even, and Arnold's feet are down by this dude's knees. Kevin Peter Hall, and it's like, oh shit.
Kevin Peter Hall was Harry and the Hendersons as well.
Tall dude. I think he passed away. And Arnold saves the day, survives a nuke.
Kill me, I'm here!
Do it now! Kill me, I'm here! Get to the chopper! Go!
Go!
Now!
Now!
Man, what? That movie is great. Such a classic thing. It's just a great villain. awesome. He's
Director
so
of Die Hard too, so this guy was like my favorite director after this movie. And Die Hard is like, okay, you can't get any better than those two
a
movies.
collection of badasses. There's more muscles going on there than a Pumping Iron magazine. What the hell? Except for the little one, Shane Black. Shane Black.
He's a good director.
Yeah, he is. So that's my unlucky number 13, The Predator.
Predator 2 came close to making my top 50.
With Bill Paxton. And you know, Bill Paxton is the only actor that's ever been killed by a predator, an alien, and a Terminator.
This is true.
God rest his soul. Bill Paxton. Okay,
All right.
number 12.
He's coming up later in my list. My number 12 is the aforementioned A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh,
1984, so we were 12 years old when it came out, when we were told about the movie. Because someone told you over the phone, a girl told you the entire movie.
she broke it down. It was like a 2-hour conversation, and all she talked about was the movie.
And Kevin came home, our stepbrother came home from seeing it at the theater and proceeded to tell me all about it. So I think their excitement for it made it less like impactful when I watched it.
I'm your boyfriend.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. That's the part that really freaked him out. So we were already veterans by then of the horror genre, and it was like, I'm sure that's not going to be that scary.
Yeah. After someone tells you about the whole movie, then I watched it, and I was like, oh, really? That scared you? Really? But, you know.
And we were getting old enough to be able to go see, like, part 2. We weren't old enough to get in the theater to see 1, but when 2 came out, and we were able to actually go, that poster ended up on the wall.
Yeah, once we became 13, 14, we were able to get our asses in the seats.
But this movie should be in the top 10. It really should. It's an important movie. Nancy's a killer final girl.
Mm-hmm.
And
Johnny Depp dies.
Johnny Depp is dead. We don't use him anymore in any movies. He never meets Tim Burton.
I think the ending's kind of goofy, though. Getting pulled through but it was okay. I forgave it.
It was all 3 endings, and they just put them together.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, too classic of a story not to be worshipped. That's your number 12, and my number 12 is a classic as well, the original Friday the 13th.
That's higher up on my list.
With Mama going around whacking people. You said Friday the 13th Part 2 is your favorite.
Yes, Friday the 13th Part 2 is my favorite, but when it comes to the best horror movies of the 80s, I'm making a list.
Okay, and this is...
The first one is more important.
Yeah, a lot of people don't look at it that way. They'll pick anything else as their favorite. It's almost like, well, we can't recognize the original that way. It wasn't Jason, yada yada. Bitch be killing people, and the special effects were the classic, the ultimate, the first Friday the 13th, the knife slit in the throat, and the blood shooting out, and the axe in the head, and the spear coming through. Kevin Bacon dies, and
but I have a bacon data of 1.
That was just incredible. I mean, blew my mind. I'm like, it looked like they cut that girl's throat and she started bleeding out. What the fuck just happened? And it was like, I had to break that shit down. And, I don't know.
We fell in love with special effects because of that. It was like, how did they do that? And I can't wait to see the next one. Mm-hmm. Had nothing to do with murder.
Right.
Everything to do with, whoa, that's what Halloween should have been. That's what I remember thinking.
It looks real. Not like the butcher knife and the guy. That knife must have been this long. But anyway.
Telling you, Myers fans, that knife must have been
at least that. But we know. They went for the effect. And yeah, okay. But anyway, that's what I liked about Friday the 13th. The original. And Pamela Voorhees is a killer. And the whole time they're talking about her kid. And that works out great. Because you can spawn a whole franchise.
I'm rewriting a script, okay, and I got Toni Collette playing Pamela Voorhees. She's going to go ape shit on everybody.
Yeah.
You guys think you don't want a Friday the 13th with Pamela. Wait till I unleash Toni Collette on your ass. She's nuts. Don't make me go after that woman in who just won Best Supporting Actress in Mom.
Oh yeah. I can't think of her name. Shit. Anyway,
Because we suck.
Yeah. Allison Janney.
Allison, make me unleash Allison Janney on your ass as Pamela Voorhees.
That would be cool.
You'll be wanting sequels of her shit.
Yeah, no shit. Don't bring Jason in just yet. It would be nice to have a good Friday the 13th movie. It really would. But the original is a classic, and it stands at number 12 on my list. What's your number 11 as we creep towards an hour?
Predator. We talked about it.
All right. That's some good one. That's another one with booby traps. That was some good shit.
Everybody's heart sunk when the black guy crawled through and the thing went leap onto his head, and he just looked, and he didn't even say it, but we all went, "Oh shit!" It's black.
Oh,
Such a good movie.
Yeah, that one classic scene with the razor and Arvin in the mood, and I do. It was like a war movie, man. It was so good. Okay, Predator. Excellent. My number 11 is another Friday the 13th that you mentioned, Friday the 13th Part Dieu, with the classic Jenny! And the classic campfire fucking scene that's just
And personally,
amazing.
my favorite women of the group. I know you have your personal favorite,
Yeah.
but for me, this one is the cream of the crop.
Yeah, they were okay.
Oh man. Steve Miner really knows a good tracking shot with a chick getting naked and walking slowly into the lake and then coming out slowly out of the lake. Nice tracking shot.
Ooh, yes. And half the counselors survived in this movie, Part 2, because they all went to the bar and didn't get back in time to get slaughtered, which was neat.
The cool, geeky guy lived. The stoner guy. Say what you will about Cabin in the Woods and the stoner guy living.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he lived in this one.
Part 2. Excellent movie. I got it ranked one above the original because it is the introduction to Jason. And, it's...
No plumbing.
they're really kind of tied neck and neck there. But Part 2 is great. Now we're going into our top 10. The best films, horror films of the 80s. What is number 10 for you? The Fly.
The Fly. David Cronenberg. Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum making a mess of their lives, meeting each other and getting together for a decade. Earth Girls Are Easy Together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They probably just met on that set.
Fucker got drunk and said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it."
I'm doing it. Give me some Gina Davis.
And that fucking monkey jumps on him, the huge baboon or whatever. I mean, it's like Jeff Goldblum
is the shit. You're not supposed to be that not good looking and a leading man at the time. So it was incredible for us.
Breaking holes in the wall, doing all the gymnast shit.
Being Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that was good shit.
Good stuff.
And gory and fucking gross, and it pays off at the end because you're sympathetic to him at the end, and you know the ultimate goal is to kill someone else, and it's just awesome. Loved it. Not like the original, in my opinion.
Take my penis away.
My number 10 is a classic. H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimator with Jeffrey Combs. Screen Queen Barbara Crampton.
Barbara Crampton.
Shit's a fucking insane, crazy ass. I love it. Okay, the serum works. You killed him. No, I gave him life.
I'm not psycho.
I'm not ceiling. I think they actually credit Bernard Herrmann. They should.
No shit. That was a great movie though. And then the cat, and then bring the cat to life. And then the fucking body parts, and the head comes to life and then eats out a girl, and and all the crazy dead people at the end that come up, and everyone's got access to the formula, and this is one batshit overdose.
And I'm glad you mentioned Barbara Crampton as being a screen queen, because she needs kudos.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving it all in that movie.
Yep. And From Beyond.
From Beyond.
Beyond.
Yes, From Beyond was in last show's episode.
That's right. So Reanimator, okay, and I'm sure it's on your list.
Yes.
To be. Okay.
It's in my top 10.
It's number 10 for me. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Reanimator.
Oh, what? Say again, with the cat and the naked girl getting eaten out by a head.
Yep, and green juice.
Oh, yeah. The direction was great. Jeffrey Combs was so awesome. He was classic from that movie. Give me more Jeffrey Combs after Reanimator.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
We rented it. I rented movies that sucked and went back and rented it because he was in it.
Even The Frighteners.
Unnameable. There was certain things that all of them did that was like, damn it, none of them are comparing now. Stuart Gordon, From Beyond, and that was it. He directed. Brian Yunzo. Anything he produced, I'd run out and try and hope to find that diamond in the rough.
Yep. All from the classic Reanimator.
And it's only at number 9 on my list because in the original story there was no love interest, and they needed something to just not to have it be a sausage party, a bro fest. So they added the girlfriend, and I thought it was just the weakest part of it. Dan, stop! You're scaring me.
Barbara Crampton.
Yeah, good job, Barbara.
My number 9, you've already mentioned, Friday the 13th. Part 6, Jason Lives.
Man, cluttered.
He's a zombie, he's super strong, cutting 3 heads off at one time.
Yes.
Still doing the head tilt. It was great, bending cops backwards. The only thing I didn't like about it was him taking a bullet hole in the middle of his classic mask. That bothered me.
There's no nudity in it.
Yeah, no nudity and
But kids.
little kids.
But you have the kids at the camp for a change.
So it should have worked against it, but it didn't. It was great. Tom Matthews was great. The final girl was fun. She had balls.
No, the camera showed that area. Even though she had clothes on, I didn't see.
The wisecracking sheriff, you're about this close from yeah, and ya bang with the damn deputy, and then he ends up in the clinker, and that's hilarious. And then at the end, putting him in Crystal Lake, I thought was great way to end it. Could have put him back where he belongs.
Some people got a sick sense of humor.
Love Part 6, Jason Lives. What do you have for number 8?
Part 8.
No, definitely not Part 8.
Number 8 is Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
Mine's way higher than 8.
Wow.
I think Evil Dead 2 is awesome. Tell me what you like about Dead by Dawn.
Okay, well, me and a buddy, we went on a double date. We were sophomore. Me and my buddy were sophomores. The girls were seniors. So we were high flying. We were going to take them to see Evil Dead 2. We figured they were going to get scared and cuddle in our arms.
What's with us in Evil Dead movies and girls?
I don't know. You guys know the answer to that. The pituitary gland. So anyway, instead of shuddering in horror, we were all busting out laughing and eating popcorn and had a great time, and then went to Burger King and laughed and made really good friends. And me and my buddy were still virgins at the end of the night. But it was a great movie going experience for sure to see that movie, because it was, are you kidding me? And hilarious. And Ash is Ash. He's not Ash in the first movie. He lives till the very end, but he doesn't do any of his Ashisms. And that's just groovy. That's Ash.
Work shit.
You're going down. Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
That's what he saw.
Swallow this.
Ashley Joanna Williams.
And his dad is the Bionic Man.
That's right. And if he had had it his way, his mom would have been Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. But they canceled after 3 seasons.
God damn it.
And those 3 seasons are better than Army of Darkness, in my opinion.
Oh,
Army
yeah.
of Darkness is an action adventure, great.
Comedy.
It's good for Ash.
Mhm.
It's a good vessel for Ash.
Mhm.
Just like season 4 or a new movie with Road Warrior Ash would be a very good Ash movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Get Sam to do it. You action adventure it like Army of Darkness, but London Bridge is falling down.
So stars, you guys messed up, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
Y'all had a good thing going. Great thing going. And we love Ash. And I'm going to mention Evil Dead 2 further up on my list. My number 8 is my last entry from Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th Part 3. My personal favorite Friday the 13th.
3D!
Because he is fully realized when he finds the hockey mask. And I love the way Miner directed it, where he's in the shadows and you see the silhouette. It's not unlike John Carpenter. And then you get all these weird 3D things coming at you, and I'm fine with that. I saw it at the theater. It was actually in 3D, believe it or not.
The popcorn and everything. Fern to 3D!
And, you know, the thing is, I thought, besides all that, the story was good. And I liked how they introduced another gang to come along. And you kind of wanted these guys to die.
Yeah, you needed them to.
It helped you buddy up with the fucking people. And that never happens in these damn shows.
It helps you buddy up with Jason when he's killing the bikers.
Right.
Like,
Right?
you have an excuse to side with the bad guy.
And in my opinion, the smoking hottest girls in the series. I'm not including the remake, because come on, the remake was, every girl was
I don't think all
To
those
die
pieces
for
parts
it,
were
but-
real.
right. But that was directed for shit. Okay. Part 3 was directed very well. Good job, Steve Miner. You're a classic. This movie's great. Jason just with the hockey mask and killing motherfuckers left and right. I love that it was in a barn. Who gives a shit? It's right next to Crystal Lake. That's what he was going to go to next. And whacked a bunch of girls and guys. And I like the hippies. Shelley was annoying and a classic character. And the final girl was so weak and annoying. But she did okay. She managed. She's going to a loony bin, but she managed.
Richard Brooker.
Yeah, I liked Part 3. That was my favorite one.
Killer.
So what do you have?
My favorite Jason.
Really?
Yeah. Since you mentioned the reboot, Jason was played by Derek Mears
Derek Mears.
of,
Twin Peaks: The Return fame.
since we didn't find a connection with Part 3.
But the direction was too fucking fast editing, weird camera angles. Yeah, you're showing a good kill, but we're not getting the whole thing. It could have been done so much better. I want to see it. I want to see Jason standing there. I want to have time to observe. It never happened.
But in Part 3,
Yeah, Part 3, when he walks out on the dock with the fucking hockey mask, it's like, oh my god, here he is. Motherfucker. Biggest shit. It was the way Miner directed it, because in Part 2, Jason was in view, plain sight the whole movie. It just, Miner did a good job. He managed to represent him. Great deal. Let's go to your number 7.
my number 7, Return of the Living Dead.
And now we're going to start jumping on ourselves, because that one's on my list. A little higher up. The Return of the Living Dead. The greatest dead movie ever. That wasn't The Evil Dead 2.
It's great. You got great actors. You didn't talk about this movie. We didn't talk about this movie.
We did.
Holy cow.
Talk about it now.
Clu Gulager.
I mean, this is like, it's number 5 on my list. It's fucking
You got Clu
awesome.
Gulager from Elm Street 2.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Tom Matthews from Friday the 13th Part 6.
Yep.
You got James Cameron.
From Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive, David Lynch being represented. And you got Miguel A. Nunez Jr.
From
from Friday the 13th Part 5.
Miguel is awesome in this movie. Busting a damn head.
I'll bust in the damn head.
Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Return of the Living Dead.
And you've got written by Dan O'Bannon.
Don Kafka.
Oh yeah, Don Kafka from Foul Play. Scarface.
Yeah. And you got the crazy bitch that got naked and danced on the tombstone.
Don Kafka was in an episode of Twin Peaks.
He played the
The
counselor at school.
The original Twin Peaks.
That's right. Of Twin Peaks fame.
Oh, we got a very high ranking here for
Yeah.
Peaker.
Peakers. Return of the Living Dead.
Rest in peace.
I can't believe that more people don't consider this one of the best horror movies of the 80s. It's an absolute classic. Some people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people mention it, but to me, it's just the shit. I mean, the zombies were great. They talked, they communicated. They're gonna send more cops. They ran after your ass.
You felt for him if you were in pain, and the morphine was right there.
Brains.
Busted a damn head.
Make it shut up.
100 of them.
That movie's good.
Hit it in the fucking brain.
The way they talk about it, the
Couldn't the movie lie?
Night of the Living Dead. They talk about Night of the Living Dead, and it's like, oh, this is weird because it's like, okay, this is starting to feel like it really happened, you know? Because they tell you at the beginning of the movie it's based on actual events. It's fucking hilarious, and you're kind of thinking maybe something like this did happen because they referenced the movie, you know? And when you go to see Return of the Living Dead, if you're not sure, you might think it's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. You know, you don't know. And they just turned it on its head. Just all of a sudden, the pieces are chopped up, and the pieces crawl after your ass. I hit him in the damn brain.
Split Dog came to life. The butterflies all came to life.
Oh shit! So good, so good. And then James Karen taking the wing off and kissing it, hanging it before he pulls himself and burns himself to death.
Yeah, I think they originally was going to just have him die at the hands of Tom Matthews, and he thought his character deserved more, so he came up with an idea, and they shot it.
And they shot it, and it worked.
And it works. You get a cool little punk song in there.
Mm-hmm. Slow down, power ballad.
Every album needs a power ballad, and if you're going to make a punk album, you got to have a power ballad,
And then
a punk power ballad.
James Karen's fucking disease goes up and it rains and then shit starts all over again.
skin's burning.
We're gonna nuke the site and be done with this shit. We're gonna clean it up, and if you let Hillary Clinton get a hold of it, we're gonna blame it on the Russians. Okay.
And Dana Ashbrook from Twin Peaks was in Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Yes, he was, and that was a good movie too. And so was Tom Matthews and James Karen. They returned to play two different characters, and they're
Don Kafka actually was going to be, the older doctor that was in Part 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, but that would have been
The
good.
director didn't hire him, didn't want him, got someone else.
We know why that movie's not on our list.
They could have brought back everybody.
That would have been intense.
No one else got a phone call.
So Return of the Living Dead is your number 7.
Yes, it is.
My number 7 is a movie you just mentioned earlier, The Entity, your number 25.
I knew it was higher up for you.
Number 7 for me, The Entity. That movie was fucking scary. That movie was freaked me out. And I love the way it works, where she's by herself the first 2 times she gets attacked, and then the psychiatrist convinces her that, it could be, or convinces us that it's in her mind, and you get to know her background, and her husband died, and you start to think it's the husband's ghost. Or it could be her son fucking her, for all we know. I mean, it was twisted. And then the 3rd time, when it happens in front of the kids, you know it's not them, and they couldn't do a thing to stop it. And she's just there getting raped in front of her kids. Oh, God, that sucks so bad. God damn,
I sleep on my back.
Fuck, man, that's scary.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I have it a lot lower on my list for the fact that I don't go swimming with Jaws. And that's my favorite movie of all time, 70s. But this movie definitely makes me sleep on my back.
And it's just, yeah, the way it ends, where it's like the attacks are still happening. Oh shit! It never ends. It's based on a true story, and a lot of that was similar. You know, she did get attacked that way. So, love that movie. And if you've never seen The Entity, see it because Barbara Hershey's fucking amazing in it.
Yeah, when she realized she isn't crazy, even though crazy shit's going on,
Her friend
she's so excited that
confirmed it.
Like, I'm not crazy.
Right. Even the after
I'm
the
not
kids
crazy.
saw it. Right.
She's like,
The psychiatrist is like, oh, you're feeding it into the kids, and they're going along with you now. And she's still like, oh, nope. When the friend saw it, that was it. I'm not crazy.
damn psychiatrist.
That was some good shit.
Damn Ron Silver. Fucking Blue Steel rapist.
I did a video breaking down The Entity. You guys can check it out on my channel. What is your number 6?
Bob da bob dang 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 ding dong dong.
Boom, 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 boom.
Dip dip dip. I missed the dope dope. I missed the dang dang or ding ding ding.
Bop a da bop, dop a da bop, dang a da dang ding dong ding ding dong ding.
Blue. American Werewolf in London.
And it's my number 6 as well. The only one we matched up perfect on.
Well, it's a marvelous time for a movie.
It's so hot in here. Oh, fuck. And, of course, Griffin Dunne as the sidekick who keeps coming back. And that shit was legitimately scary.
When he was getting killed, it was scary.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit, they're showing this.
Uh-huh. And he's screaming, Jack, help me. Right?
Ain't much you can do with that big ass thing on top of you. Jack. No, David.
David, the friend was Jack, yeah. And then every time friend kept coming back, he was deformed more and more, and it was just creepy.
Hard to look at.
And then,
Just so good. Rick Baker.
And then you had which won the Academy Award that year, first ever special effects award. The year before, The Elephant Man was so good by David Lynch that they thought, we need to give a category to special effects. And then Rick Baker wins it first ever with the classic transformation scene. Right. But that movie was scary. The dreams he had was scary with the zombie Nazis and shit. And then she's all like, wakes him up, and then she opens the curtains and it's there again, and he wakes up again. And that shit, to me, it's like when other movies try to do it, they're doing it based off of that one because it worked for that one. And then all of a sudden, the fucking werewolf shows up. You're like, okay, fuck this fucking. It's good.
Good movie.
The victims come back.
It'd be a little higher on my list, except that it ends as quickly as it begins, kind of. Like, I was along for the ride, and I'm not bored through the whole thing, but when it finally kicks in, he turns to a werewolf twice.
Mm-hmm. And the second time, he's taken down pretty quick.
Yeah, it's like that was a massive scene that's epic, but you have to go back and watch it and see it because it didn't last as long as it felt epic.
And they didn't have enough full body shots of the werewolf, I didn't think. It was a clever use of direction, though, but
yeah,
works.
People getting smashed between cars and stuff.
No doubt my favorite werewolf movie ever.
I don't know you. I'm not talking to you, twit. I'm talking to her. I've never seen you before in my life. Oh, sorry then. See you next Wednesday.
Dude, we were definitely in pubescent heaven when these movies came out. From 9 to 19.
If you had nudity in it, it's a chance on this list.
So it is a requirement for a horror movie. So number 5, and this is it, top 5.
My number 5 is the original Friday the 13th.
All right.
It is the most important movies, horror movies of the 80s. It's like one of the most important. It's got to be the most important. It took Halloween and Peeping Tom, or whatever you want to call the first slasher movie, Psycho, whatever Halloween did to it to bring it to the forefront. Tom Savini slit some throats with it and said, "How about let's just do one, except
let's not imply the violence. Let's show the fucking violence."
Two of the best ideas. You still couldn't get good ideas for these kinds of movies afterwards. It was all the same wannabe shit. It was either Halloween or Jason inspired. Until '84 when Elm Street came out. But this was the best.
Yep, it was really
it opened the door.
Right.
Every holiday.
Right. But it was a mystery movie and you wasn't sure who was doing it, and then it works. The mom is like lost her fucking mind because the kid died, and it's just taking everybody out, even the dudes. And when you realize it's a woman, it's like that was probably a big deal to people. It wasn't. It was a big deal because I didn't know who this woman was, and she's the mother. But I mean, just seeing her, Pamela Voorhees, physically with the weapon, you killed. I really thought she'd kick my ass too. I mean, that was a great performance. What's her name?
Betsy Palmer.
Betsy Palmer. I mean,
rest in peace.
She didn't want to do it probably and had reservations or whatever, but I tell you,
it's a paycheck.
She should have embraced it there. I guess she did toward the end of her life. But
yeah, she hit every convention she could, make money, realized,
yeah,
that's a little bank.
Fuck, man.
Off of one movie.
How often do you play a character that you're remembered by? So, enjoy it.
Really?
And she did embody that. I mean, I really did believe seeing her, and realizing she's the killer. But yeah, she's the one that was doing all this. And fucking Alice wouldn't double tap for shit. Double tap!
I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis dropped the weapon, but we were screaming at Alice. Like, why would you leave?
Yeah. Hit her with a frying pan and then just
walk away.
They'd arrest me for premeditated or because there would be too many blows to the back of the killer's head. If someone's trying to kill me, I'm going to defend myself. And I'm going to make sure you don't get up.
Yeah.
That's the problem. At least hit her twice.
Yeah.
One good time with the frying pan in the back of the head. I mean, I would have done it. I'd have been scared. I'd have been terrified, and everybody else is dead around me.
I'd be safe.
Fuck that. Yeah, we learned about double tap in that movie. But, that movie is a classic. It represents everything that is great about 80s horror movies. It's a slasher variety.
Number 5.
My number 5 is the aforementioned The Return of the Living Dead. I'll bust in a damn head.
100 of them.
What? That fucking shit was good. I love it. I love that everything that they planned on doing and tried to do, it all seemed to make sense. Board up the windows. One of them thinks go to the roof, they evacuate vertically, which is something you can't tell a coon has. You have to say, get in the fucking attic and bring an axe with you, motherfucker, okay? But then the other ones were like, we're going to make a run for it, we're going to get the car, and we're going to come back, and they left us, he had to. All that shit felt right to me, just the way the progression of everything, down to Don Caffa with the gun, debating on shooting the girl's head, because
he came through. Yeah, she was going to put her out of her misery,
right?
Have her suffer,
right? Realizing they're dead, they're not getting out of this. There's only going to be more fucking zombies down there by the time you try to crawl your ass out.
And paramedics and cops.
He might have shot her and ate off of her.
Yeah, he probably would have been eating her later because he didn't have a bullet for himself.
A broken leg, he wasn't going to be jumping out of there.
And Miguel A. Nunez, the African-American actor, survived the murderous spree. I mean, he died in the nuke at the end, like all of us.
Right.
Everyone in that town died at the end, but he survived.
And he got it in the toilet.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, he got it. John.
The beginning. But, love me some Miguel.
Love me some Return of the Living Dead.
Classic. Okay, what's your number 4?
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, wow.
We'll just go ahead and talk about it later.
Yeah, well, these, I think we're pretty close on these last ones. You've got a surprise in there, and I got a surprise too.
The Thing, Rob Bottin, his opus.
Right. He got it right.
Ennio Morricone did the soundtrack. John Carpenter's like, no, go back and do it like this. Boom, boom, boom. And Ennio's like, okay, I'll tone it down. I keyed.
Kurt Russell's the shit.
Follow the keys. Windows has the keys, and you hear him drop the keys. And then later they find the blood's missing. And you just got to figure out who grabbed the keys.
I love all of it. I love the testing. I love you think it's an alien, but then you realize it's this fucking possession thing, and they're swallowing you up and using you, and every time you see it, it's got all the different bodies in it, and just classic. I want to talk about that at the end.
Follow the kerosene bottles, too.
Yeah. Didn't Keith David drink?
Did Keith
kerosene.
David drink a Molotov cocktail at the end when he gave it to him?
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
And we'll never have a decent remake. Because the movie is so good.
I met V. Neal and we talked about The Thing. We talked about Rob Bottin.
Really?
Yeah.
My number 4 is Aliens.
V ain't nowhere on this list.
Damn. Beetlejuice ain't hard enough. My number 4 is Aliens. Is that on your list?
Yes, it is my number 3.
Okay, so Aliens it is, directed by James Cameron,
It's a horror franchise.
starring Sigourney Weaver as the most ultimate final girl ever.
Ellen Ripley.
She is a monster on her own. And I don't care. Put a gun in it. Put a gun in it. James Cameron.
Put a gun in it. James Cameron's gonna
It's
put a gun in
Titanic.
it. Put a gun in it.
Okay, why not?
With the boat sinking, I don't care. Put a gun in it. Piranha 2, The Spawning. You want to know why James Cameron removed his name from it?
Couldn't shoot a gun underwater.
Couldn't shoot a gun. I want to shoot every piranha underwater. Can I shoot the piranha under the water? No, you can't. I quit. I'm going to go make the abyss with a gun in it.
Yeah. Did he get credited for the director, being a director?
I don't know how I know he's the director of Piranha 2, The Spawning, but Lance Henriksen's the star, and he sure uses him a lot.
Yes, they did.
So either he started and had most of it done, or came in and finished it up and didn't take credit because he was finishing up with the other director had quit.
Game over, man. Game over.
Notice James Cameron shot all the surfing scenes in Point Break for Catherine Bigelow because they were dating at the time. She did Near Dark. You notice how many...
Mostly.
Okay. What about Catherine Bigelow?
You noticed how many aliens actors she used in Near Dark. Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, and the girl that does it.
Oh, yeah.
She's the blonde in Near Dark.
They said illegal alien and she signed up. Classic Bill and classic...
What can be said
Sigourney.
about aliens, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody knows aliens.
Yeah, everybody knows Alien, the original horror movie, was a great singular moment, worthy of a franchise, and you kicked that shit up with James Cameron in the mid-'80s, and it fucking works. It works really good. It's not as scary as the first one, but it's got more than one of them motherfuckers coming at you real fast and sleek like and shit, yeah. I kind of expected that if you shoot a machine gun at it, it would kill it. Just don't get the blood on you.
James
I loved
Cameron, he knew how to do a blockbuster that was still a good movie and appealed to people that, because we hate Michael Bay crap. Don't give me that.
Exactly what I was
bullshit.
thinking. If James Cameron directed Fast and the Furious, I might have watched the first
I might.
one from beginning to end. You know?
I might. I'll still watch the James Wan one day.
You know, it's action like that, full blown action's not my thing, and
When it comes on
definitely
TV.
when it comes to horror, It doesn't fucking work.
Oh, but Cameron did it with Terminator 2, which we didn't include in our list of horror.
No.
Because that's a science fiction franchise.
It feels more like a science fiction franchise, yes.
So he made a damn good movie that everybody liked with Terminator 2 and with Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the goth kids was like, I have to admit, that was a good movie, dude.
It was really, really good. That seemed to make sense. Okay, call us down. Let's get over there and figure it out. Let's bring in the Marines and then
Let's just make sure we have acid here, here, and here. And chestburster here, facehugger there.
So that was your number 3.
Yeah. So we're on to your number 3.
My number 3 is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And I'm going to say just one thing about it. I did a video breaking it down, and you can check it out on my channel. The films that scared me, The Shining. It was pretty scary. I think I watched it like this the first time I watched it because the direction was so enveloping me in this suspense, and every corner you turned, you saw something weird and didn't make sense and crazy. And yeah, The Shining's great. Probably the best made film on this whole list.
Yes, it is.
And I give it
Visceral, immersive.
I give it my number 3. What's your number 3?
Funny, I didn't mention it yet.
No. What's your number 2? Is it The Shining?
No, my number 2 is Poltergeist.
Ah.
Steven Spielberg directed. You can have any actors you want. It's supposed to be a family. And you get Craig T. Nelson and Jo Beth Williams, both which were affordable.
And kicked ass.
And kick-ass actors. You could have had that. It gives me any movie. You could just star anyone. You don't have to be beautiful or hot or. I don't know what my point is. It's a PG movie for sure.
The shot where the little girl slides on her butt, and then you see Jo Beth Williams jumping in the background, out of focus. Little details like that, that's not Toby Hooper.
Yeah.
But the steak crawling across the table in the face, yeah, that's Toby Hooper.
That's Toby.
But, the lights and all that, and just great story. The Poltergeist is really, really good.
My number 2.
And my number 2 is Evil Dead 2, which you mentioned earlier. I have it at number 2 because it's the classic 80s horror movie. Seriously, if I'm going to sit down and play something for somebody and we want to have a good time and watch something fun, I'd probably pop that one in before The Shining. But if you want to spook someone out, I'd go with The Shining. That's my number 3. But my number 1 is The Thing, which you already talked about. So Evil Dead 2 is my number 2. Your number 1 is
The Shining.
The Shining, which is
The Shining.
Scary.
It's the best movie of the 80s, dude.
It didn't even win Best Film of 1980 for me that year. I gave that to The Empire Strikes Back.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Not Holmes d'Elephant?
Nope, not Holmes d'Elephant. I gave it to... And then you gave it to The Shining.
I think I gave it a tie.
The Shining and the Elephant?
Yeah.
And I gave it to Empire.
Holmes d'Elephant.
Oh, Holmes d'Elephant.
You can go back on his channel, this channel, and look for Twin Perspective. What do you call it? The best of?
Best films of.
Best films of.
And we're going to try to do everything between 1976 and 2010.
Yeah. We're going to go into the 21st century.
We'll get into 2010. Yeah.
But we did 1980. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah. So
just look it up on his channel. We call it the Fucked Up Shit Awards, but that's not on the thumbnail.
So The Shining is number 1 on your list.
It is the greatest horror movie of the 80s.
It's definitely the best made film.
And if we consider Jaws a horror movie, my all-time favorites are Jaws, The Exorcist, and The Shining. But since Jaws isn't really... You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Jaws is my all-time favorite movie.
But The Shining also has Jack Nicholson's brilliant performance, which unnerved Stephen King, but so what? We want Kubrick and Jack any day we can get it. And Kubrick torturing Shelley Duvall.
Thank you for making her look just like olive oil. Now she could be in this Popeye movie. Sick bastard.
And The Shining is the best made film, I think, the horror film of the 80s. My number 1 is The Thing. because I think that as a horror movie goes, John Carpenter did it fucking right. The effects paid off. It was a good story. You didn't know what was going to happen. You just had this impending doom. And then in the end, when you realize the best thing to do is to contain this shit and not let it go anywhere, it's almost like a suicide mission at that point. And to save mankind. The isolation of being out in the middle of the snow, and of course the strong lead with Kurt Russell kicking ass and taking names. That great movie, great best horror film of the '80s to me, The Thing. And we're like you said, it's number 4 for you. The Shining is number 3 for me, so it's all there.
Yeah, our top 10s. I have The Fly, and you don't.
Yeah. I have The Entity instead of The Fly.
And
I have Evil Dead
Poltergeist.
2 instead of Poltergeist. So.
No, I have Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. In your top 10?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
What do you got? Oh, it's your Jason Lives.
Yeah, I got Friday the 13th Part
3.
3 and Jason Lives Part 6 because those are my favorite Friday 13th, and that's my favorite horror franchise. Yes.
Excellent. That was our list.
That was it. The top 50 horror movies of the 80s.
Because Student Bodies was at 50 when we began. Just got to give a shout out to Student Bodies because it belongs in the top 10 of every list I ever do. I just talk about it every time. Get it. Go watch it. Be happy you did it. It'll be the best movie on your TV at that time.
Make it a 420 event. Make sure you're ready to laugh. All right, so that's it. Greatest horror movies of the 80s. The Thing. The Shining, Evil Dead 2, The Return of the Living Dead, Aliens, American Werewolf in London,
Return of the Living Dead,
The Reanimator,
Poltergeist,
The
Fly, and Predator. Throwing up the X for Dex.
And anything Friday the
Yes.
13th before Part 7.
Oh, I forgot to point out my barbecue when I was talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Because that is the best barbecue.
Some Tom Savini barbecue in there.
Who that, baby?
Yeah, who that? All
Voodoo
right.
Bar and Grill.
I'm Joe.
I'm James.
This has been Twin Perspective, top 50 horror movies of the 80s. Subscribe to Roosevelt 10 for more videos like this. And I will see you in the trees.
Get off of me, Ant-Man.
Bye.